What's up, guys? Little D3 beta action today. The new patch just came out, so we're doing some testing on here. But Akky and I wanted to go through and kind of just give you a little bit of a workshop on some of the gear changes in ROS, because I get a lot of questions all the time. Is this game worth buying? What changes did they make that really make the game way more fun? Like, et cetera, et cetera. Is it worth $40? Pretty much. Blizzard already fooled me once into buying vanilla, right? So a lot of people are pretty skeptical about ROS, and I've got to tell you, no need to be skeptical. But before I get too far into it, Akky, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, my man.
Oh, Paragon.
Another Paragon? Nice.
Yeah, this experience buff is nice. But, yeah, so I think probably the main reason that this game is going to be really good when it comes out is the way that they've changed gear. So obviously they've taken down the auction house, which pretty much means you can't just buy your way to the best gear in the game, which was really everybody's biggest gripe with the game. While the auction house idea was pretty cool when we first heard about it, what ended up happening is it took no skill. You could just, when you got to a part you were stuck at, you would just buy gear and get through it.
It was, get to level 6 and it's not farming the hottest level, dude. There was no progression.
Right. And now, without an auction house, obviously, and with the addition to affixes, and they changed everything to, like, elemental gear. So you have cold, fire, holy, all these different spells that can buff certain things, and you can actually make tons of different specs to play with. And it's based on some of your gear. So, Akky, what's some of the cool stuff that you found, or kind of explain that a little bit more if you want?
Yeah, sure. Probably the coolest thing I've seen, if you guys can see in the video here, this chain demon buddy of mine is following me around with this fire chain. As you know, some of the mobs have that elite affix, the fire chain that does a ton of damage. Well, now I've got it linking between me and that demon that follows me around every time it procs, and it does just
insane damage.
It just wrecks and damage. I mean, it's crazy fun. So you get cool things like that. I mean, this was in vanilla, this weapon, and it was one you sort of just put on your follower because it was a little bit of fun. It didn't really do any damage, but it was fun to see, like, a demon following you around with a fire chain. But now they fixed it so that it's actually decent. Like you can use. Oh, I wouldn't say decent. It's actually amazing. And it's worthy of using your own weapon, like, on yourself. So
yeah,
I went from using like 2 one-handers at 850,000 to 900,000 DPS, and I've dropped down now to 607,000, and I'm doing more with this weapon than what I was with my 2 one-handers. So
yeah, it's.
But that's the cool thing about the biggest change is it's like you may have good sheet DPS, but you can switch to something like these new legendaries with the awesome affixes on them, which could just make certain builds or unlock certain builds and just make them absolutely amazing. So.
Yeah, and I think that's, like, definitely part of the coolest thing about it is, like, for instance, like, I know for Wizards right now, you can do a lot of different specs. Like, I have a fire spec, I have this frozen spec, which I'm playing right now, but it's all based on, like, certain items. So, like, the meteor spec, for instance, really works because I have this 2-handed staff that draws lesser enemies into the meteor impact. So as you're farming, like, you spam it, and it's kind of like, bugs at a bug zapper. Like, they kind of just find their way to it. It's kind of the easiest way to think about it. And then, then I have other pieces of gear that are designed to increase either my meteor damage or my fire damage, depending on, the gear that drops. And the really cool thing is now with, reforging and transmogging, like, the gear all has a benefit. So even if you don't have the piece or you roll kind of crappy, like, let's say you get a piece where you're like, oh, okay, well, all I need for this to be really good is for this to roll in instead of this attack speed or something, let's say on a weapon. And you can literally go to the Reforger now, and you can actually do that, which is amazing, because what it does, especially with no auction house, is it gives you a chance to make that gear way more useful for yourself. and to kind of build it around certain specs. So, like for instance, I'll open my bags real quick and show you my staff that I was talking about, the Smoldering Core. And so, like, I re-rolled into just regular damage here. You can see there's a little icon that has like a little blue circle, and that shows what you re-rolled into. And so you can actually make your like if you have a fire damage but you want to use it for cold, well, you can actually re-roll that fire damage into cold damage or into just straight damage and get the benefit out of it, which is really, really nice, I think.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So, but yes, what are some of like besides the sword, like I know a lot of people have been talking about, you know, different specs and everything else. And what are some of like the cooler things for Barbarian? Because I know you've been playing a lot of Barbarian.
Oh yeah, I've been going ham on the Barbarian, man. This is a class that I never really played in Villa. I played it for a little bit. I got into like Paragon 60. But as probably most of you know, I played Witch Doctor as my main, basically, in vanilla up until Paragon 99. But once they made a few changes here on the Barbarian, I just haven't got off them. I literally haven't leveled anything else. I just
you even reset your account.
Yeah, and started again.
Just to
see what it was like.
Yeah,
and it was still fun. So, but yeah, I mean, some of the cool things. So, like, basically, in vanilla, you had your set pieces for the Barbarian, which was the Immortal King set. We have two new ones actually now for the Barbarian. There's an Earthen set, and there's also a, what do you call it? Oxen set, which is, the Oxen set's pretty amazing. It lets you, hang on, I gotta try this. Oh god, look how fast I am. Sorry, this is the new pylon that just makes everything fun. But yeah, so sorry, as I was saying, so the Oxen set lets you activate all the runes on your Ram or your Furious Charge at the same time, so it makes Furious Charge, which is a skill that doesn't really get used a whole of a lot, to be honest, much more viable because it does a ton of damage, it drags things, it stuns, it does all the runes at once. So, but probably the most important one is the Earthquake set, which...
Oh, Wizard Hat! Sorry. Good.
Damn it, I got a plan! Oh, I just got the axe out of the chest!
This is the other thing that just... I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, this is what makes the game so fun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, as I was saying, sorry, I keep getting sidetracked here, but the Earthquake set, basically, when you get the full set of that, it makes it so that whenever you leap, you cast an Earthquake, right? Which is amazing, like, as you know, I mean, Earthquake does a lot of damage, so
Yeah.
getting that every time you leap, it then makes leap become more viable, because you know, you can use the leap, plus you get the damage of the Earthquake from it. And then you can take it even one step further and combine that set with the, there's these boots called loot socks, I believe they're called off the top of my head. And what it does is it allows you to leap 2 more times before putting leap on cooldown. So you combine the set with those boots and you get 3 Earthquakes every 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, and that's really, like, and going off that, that's really some of the cool stuff that they've done is they've added more sets so you have a lot more to farm. And the other cool thing is now if you want to try a set or deal with a set bonus, you're like, oh man, I really want to do that. I want to farm that set. It adds so much more playtime. Like,
oh yeah.
It's not like where you could go, okay, well, I just need to go buy, a cheap pair of, IK boots, and then I'll have my set.
Good.
Now it's, you can't trade, you can't do any of that, so you actually have to go out and farm the gear. And the great thing that I think Blizzard's really done so far, at least in the beta that we've seen to this point, is class balance. And so every class is okay without gear, and every class can be extremely overpowered and super fun to play with gear. It's very well balanced right now. There are certain classes, obviously, that have some advantages over others for certain things, but then you always have the thing that, like wizards will always be able to, just teleport wherever they want, which is always a fun thing to have. And then, like, barbarians and crusaders tend to be a little bit more tanky. You're always going to have little nuances that are more play style choices than anything. But with the gear now, you can really, if you find a spell or a spec that you really like, you can now combine some of these pieces to create just extremely overpowered specs.
Yeah.
And it's just, and the other cool thing with gear is group farming gear now too. So you actually, I know that they have this in vanilla, but it's not quite as prevalent, is group farming is encouraged in Diablo. Okay? So you get a buff for the more people in your group. So what you can do then is, like, so for me being a bar, or with a barb, I know that the spec that he's playing, if I want to suck stuff in, it actually works really well with how his spec's going, so I try to make sure that I have something that can bring them all in so that we can farm more efficiently. And as you get into the higher torments, you're, okay, well, I need a little bit more tanky gear, and I need to have this, this, and this, so that I can do this for, for this class because he's playing this build. And you can actually synergize your builds together, which I think is an amazing addition to the game, all by just switching your gear out.
Yeah.
And maybe doing a quick reforge or two on a piece. And that's literally all you have to do.
Yeah, that's like, you pretty much hit it on the head there. That's some of the best new features, is figuring out these new combinations that can work. Like, you might say, oh, I've got 3 leaps on the, 3 leaps that give me Earthquake, but if you say you come across mobs that, like, blink away everywhere, well, if I'm playing with Nash, those kind of mobs aren't a problem for me, because he'll just suck them all in, and I'll drop 3 Earthquakes on them where they're sucked in place, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, figuring out those sort of, like, ways that everything can sort of synergize and you guys can work together and really just maximize what you're doing is the most fun part about it. And finding new pieces of gear, you might find something that just
Game changes, yeah.
Yeah, it completely changes your build altogether, and you just go, whoa, okay, hang on, I need to go back and change all my skills up, because this looks like it's going to be so much fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and like you're saying, that's really part of the amazing part of this, is like this cold spec. Like, when I first started playing, I was hardcore meteor spec, and then I find this one-handed weapon, and I instantly switch because it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Because it does so much more damage. I can see everything. Everything can be, sucked in and frozen so that you can just do a ton of damage. And it synergizes so well. And that's the problem with live right now is, for Wizards, it's either you're playing Archon or pretty much permafrost CM build. Like, that's...
Yeah.
You only have a couple builds, and you have to buy certain pieces to make them work. And once you have those pieces, you're not farming gear anymore because you can just buy better gear on the auction house. And I think that that's really the main problem, is there's not really a whole lot of end game. There's no replayability because the auction house has broken the game that bad. So for gearing, this game has gone from, this is what the game should have been. So to kind of wrap it up, is it worth your $40? That's really I'll ID this one on this video for you guys. I want to see what this helm is. So is it worth your $40 to buy this expansion? I believe so. I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, I got the Swami.
I think
all
it's...
res 50. Oh, crit hits grant arcane power. That's pretty nice.
Nice. Yeah, if you were put off by vanilla, this is a whole new game. Basically, it's completely different to what vanilla was. So.
Yeah, and that's really, and the nice thing is too, guys, what we're gonna do. So feel free to add Akky. My battle tag is Nash #1240, and Akky, what's yours?
Akky #6561.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a clan. That's the other thing they added is clan. So, and we'll do another video about that probably. But we have clans now. So what we're gonna do is once Reaper drops, we will definitely be forming a clan for you guys, so that if you want to come over and hang out, you can, and level with us and farm and make groups. We're going to try to have a nice community going on, so that if you want to farm some legendaries or, meet some friends or hang out with other people in game, that you can come do that. And just get some of this cool gear. So we hope to see you guys. Let us know what you think about the new gear changes in the comments below. Akky, anything else before we go?
Nope. Yeah. Just expanding a bit more on what Nash said. If you guys have got beta, some of you guys that are watching have got beta and want to farm with us, feel free to add us. I mean, we try to play at least once a day.
Yeah.
And if you see us on and you want to come and play with us, then by all means, do so.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you guys in a little bit and in the next video. And thank you for watching. Peace.